Kid Missing TV. I am your host, Angelina Wilson. Today we're going to discuss the case of Kimberly Moreau. Kimberly went missing on May 11th, 1986 from Maine. The investigating agencies are the Maine State Police and the Livermore Falls Police Department. My mother's from Livermore Falls, full disclosure, and I asked her, why the heck are they doing it? She said, I don't think Jay has a police department. So, that's why. Karen, Kimberly's sister, you can correct me if they do, but I will give you those phone numbers. I will also put them in the description. The Livermore Falls Police Department can be contacted at 1-207-657-3030. I'm actually surprised by the exchange because everybody I knew in Livermore Falls had a 987. And the Maine State Police can be contacted at 1-207-743-8282. Kim was 5 feet 7 inches tall and 135 pounds when she disappeared. Kim was a cheerleader, she was a gymnast, she had been in the Miss Maine beauty pageant. I have a feeling, being both a cheerleader and a gymnast, that she'd have been a tough cookie. And somebody would have had marks on me. Because I don't have a feeling that she'd go easily or that she wouldn't fight. She was with 2 boys and her best friend that night because her and her boyfriend had had a little tiff and they decided not to go to the junior prom together. It happens. She still had his ring. They hadn't broken up per se. His high school ring, which it says Mike Staples and it says Mike 87. So that's a really good clue if someone comes across that, or God forbid, her early remains, which her family does believe she's gone. But they want answers. They want to bury her next to her mother, who died a year later of a broken heart. Her father, Dick Moreau, lovely man, had him on my podcast. Want to have him on again, or Karen, either one, or her other sister, whose name I can't remember, and I'm so sorry, that I run the Facebook group with, on again, because Blog Talk deleted the original, which is part of the reason I'm doing this right now. The suspects were Brian Edmond and a young man named Calvin Tidswell. Again, for full disclosure, I have family that actually knows Calvin Tidswell, and they don't believe he did it. So, just for full disclosure. That being said, the other young man that was actually with her, Brian Edmond, and her best friend, who sadly, subsequently, moved to California and died in an automobile accident, was ruled out as a suspect because he went to work at 11 o'clock. He left the group. I'm assuming Calvin Tidswell joined the group at that point. I don't know. I don't know how he's connected. In everything I've read, everything I've seen, I don't know how he's connected. I know he's a dealer, and it is possible they went to him to get some drugs, pot or something, Because let's face it, if you're a dealer in a town the size of Jay, everybody's going to know where to get their drugs. I mean, it's a 5,000 person town. So, at any rate, the police, 29 years later, finally asked the FBI for a little help. I think they should have done that in the first place. I think they also should have asked the Rangers, they're not Rangers up there, the game wardens, to help in search and rescue, because that's a big part of what they do, and they do it better than anybody. Apparently they didn't. Towns like Livermore Falls, Jay, they don't deal with crimes like this. I mean, these are little bitty towns in rural Maine. They're in rural, middle, west Maine. It's nuts. To think they would try they, it's also believed, um, again, it's believed that Brian Edmond is the prime person of interest, and he actually, his property was searched in 2015. 5 acres that he owns, or something like that. It was maybe more than that. It was many acres. Yeah, 5. I was right. And there was nothing there. uh, I don't know whether they dug or whether they just searched or they used GPR. If they even have anybody with GPR in Maine, well, state archaeologists might have it. Um, but this is Maine. In the article that I referenced, there is mention of Ayla Reynolds because Ayla disappeared from Waterville, which is maybe a little bigger than Jay, but not very far. I mean, it's, if you live in another area, it might be far. It's like, I don't know how many miles exactly, but in Maine, it's not that far. Because in Maine, they tell you the motel's up the road a piece, and you're 3 towns away saying this is up the road a piece. So Maine has a different idea, specifically rural Maine, of distance, because everything is spread out, even the houses are spread out. So to them, you know, when you have a 100-acre farm like my grandparents had, up the road a piece is up the road a big piece. So, and that's what's up there. Farming and the paper mill, which was having a big hoopla at the time. They were on strike and it was awful. Paper mill actually was kind of ruined at that point. I don't think the one in Jay is still there. There is one still in Rumford. I could be wrong. I'm sure my aunt will correct me. And that's pretty much what everyone did. Their house was kind of behind the paper mill, Morrow's house. She was supposedly dropped off at the end of the street. Her father says, no way, she is not going to walk down that road in the dark because she's afraid of the dark. Okay. And I asked my mother about this. Again, I run everything by her. And she said, if they were at a drinking party, as has been speculated, perhaps she had been drinking, that would make you 10 feet tall and bulletproof. You would, you might be more likely to do that. So, anything's possible. And if you're wondering about streetlights in Jay, Maine, that's all I can say. Again, it's rural Maine. I will put a picture up of the general area. Again, I will put the phone numbers in the description. Help us find this beautiful young lady's earthly remains and bring them home to her father, who has spent 40 years posting posters and, well, almost 40 years, posting posters and just doing everything possible to find his little girl. And I just want to mention real quick that the number of missing cases in Maine, you could almost, of kids, you could almost name on one hand. Kathy Moulton, Douglas Chapman. There's another little boy, I can't remember his name. Ayla Reynolds, Kimberly Moreau. I mean, and 2 of them, like, are babies. 3 of them are babies. Douglas Chapman, the other little boy whose name escapes me, I apologize, and Ayla Reynolds. Funny thing is, my great aunt, God rest her soul, lived in Waterville when Ayla disappeared. She said you wouldn't go anywhere without seeing her poster. And I'm sure, and in fact I'm positive my family remembers when Kimmy disappeared. Somebody knows something. Somebody needs to speak up before her father isn't here anymore. And to give her sisters peace. I want to talk a little bit about the show that we'll be doing next time. Next time, we will be talking about a strange case. Several people have disappeared from a boarding school, sort of a corrective boarding school type thing, in California. And we'll be talking about that mystery next time. But this time, I would like to very quickly go over another case with you. Since we were talking about a teenager, I thought we'd mix it up and talk about a 3-year-old. His name was Todd Eugene Collett. He disappeared on January 23rd, 1964. He was 3 years old. It is possible that this little boy's alive. He had a serious surgery following an accident, so he had a scar all the way down, gutted like a fish. He was run over in his own driveway, very sadly. He had a lazy eye and would randomly just fall asleep after the accident. It sounds like it almost gave him narcolepsy, kind of. He and his twin brother Travis and a friend, Greg, also 4 years old, were playing at the corner of their road. They crossed the street to enter a construction site because they were interested in the big trucks and whatnot. And they even thought maybe they were buried in the sand, like he was buried in the sand. His brother did not go across the street with him and his friend. It's scary to me that a 3-year-old would have crossed a busy street on his own. It's just frightening. Neighbors did see a bearded stranger before, in the same time frame. He spoke good English and had an accent. What the heck does that mean? The bad guy, or alleged bad guy. Foul play is strongly suspected. His birthday would have been 2 months later. He would have turned 4 on March 30th. He would now be, let's see, he was 3 and 64. 61. So he would now be 60 years old in March. I believe there's a possibility he could be alive. He could have been raised because he was so young. I just wanted to switch it up and do another case with you, since I haven't been doing more than one case on these videos. If you have any information, you can call the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office, because this happened in Goleta, California. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, my family in California, correct me. Sergeant James Zabidin, 1-805-681-4100. Again, I will put that in the description. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember to mask up, MA. Have a great day and God bless.